Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the pre-departure weeks. I think everybody that wants to join the session has joined. We started a couple minutes later, so sorry about that. We had some technical issues, but all good now. Just to recap what the pre-departure weeks are, they are a series of online webinars to help you, students that have been admitted to start at Utrecht University this September, prepare and make your decision before you potentially arrive here in September. We've been doing these sessions since April, and they're complemented with a monthly newsletter where you get the recordings to previous sessions, and also updates on what sessions are coming up. So make sure to keep an eye out on your inbox to see any upcoming sessions we have, and also for the recordings of sessions you might have missed. So today's session is on the final steps you need to take. So we will talk about your fees and enrollment. The structure of today's event, we will have a short presentation just taking you through some key points. During this presentation, feel free to ask any questions that you have using the Q&A function. At the end of the presentation, we will pick out some of these questions and answer them live. And also during the presentation, our lovely chat moderators will answer your questions in the chat. So if you have questions specifically related to your enrollment, then please put them in the chat. All right. So starting first with tuition fees, this is specifically for EU or EEA students only. For non-EU students, you have already completed the step as part of your visa application for the first year. So for EU students, how do you go about this? First, you need to accept your conditional offer in Osiris. The Central Student Administration Desk will verify your identity, and they will send you an email in these months, so either in June, in July, or in August, with essentially how you pay your tuition fees. Only contact our student service if you've not heard anything by the end of July, and then we can see how to help you. Otherwise, don't worry, your email is probably on the way. It's then important that you arrange your payment before the start of your program, so before the start of September. If you do opt to pay by digital authorization, so the direct debit, which we'll talk about in the next slide, the first deduction actually taken from your account will be at the end of September. So what is the digital direct debit authorization, and how can you do it? You need to submit a request for this via StudyLink. StudyLink is again the platform that you started your application for any program in the Netherlands. So in there, you submit this request, and the requirements to be able to do this is to have a checking account from a bank located in the Netherlands or another SEPA country, and you need to be above the age of 18. The direct debit request is valid for one academic year, so from September to September. For the second year, you can again submit the same request so that your fees for the next year go in the same way. For non-EU students, you can choose this option when you're paying your tuition fees in the second year. The first deduction, as I said, will be at the end of September. So the money is actually taken out of your account for the first time at the end of September. But you do need to have completed this request already before the start of September. And there are two ways in which you can do this. You can do this by direct debit in full. In that case, the full amount is deducted at the end of September. Or you can do this in installments. I think it's 4 installments or something like that. All the information is again on StudyLink. And this costs a €24 administration fee. So hopefully this process is clear to you. The way you do it, again, to take you through some details, you go to StudyLink and you click on My To-Do List, and then select the option Enter Your Payment Details. You can check the StudyLink step-by-step plan for more information on this payment method. And sometimes there could be technical issues. If something goes wrong, just wait a couple of days and then try to issue the payment again. Some issues tend to solve themselves because it just might be a glitch in the system. And like I said, in order for you to be enrolled, you only need to have submitted the debit authorization. So the money won't actually be deducted yet, but you need to have completed this submission to be fully enrolled. And the first deduction will then be at the end of September. All right. Then let's talk about fulfilling your conditions for admission, since not everyone would have done that at this point. Conditional acceptance essentially means that you've not yet met all your entry requirements, and the requirements and also the deadline to fulfill them are always stated in your letter of conditional acceptance. A letter of conditional acceptance may contain the following conditions, so one or more of them could be applicable to you or none at all. These conditions include sending certified copies of your diploma and transcript, sending proof of your English proficiency, completing a course, passing a test, or doing some further study. So starting first with certified copies for master students. What are certified digital documents? So a certified digital document is an electronic copy of which the content and authenticity can be verified online. Examples of this include PDFs, which carry embedded digital signatures, e-certificates or transcripts, verifiable QR codes, or website links to a verification portal. So there are a few different ways in which you can submit certified digital documents to us. You can submit them via Osiris online application. You can submit them via your university system or some other verification platform. You can send it to us via email, in which case it must be sent from your university using their official email address. And finally, if it's not possible to send us certified digital documents, you can send us certified hard copies. Keep in mind not to send us your original diploma and transcript. You only have one of these, so keep them safe with you at home. And also sending us a photocopy of the original document without certification is also not accepted. So make sure to read on our website what a certified copy is. And for bachelor students, again, the definition of a certified document is the same. The ways in which you can send this, you can again share it via an independent academic verification platform. You can share it via the electronic system or database of your school. Or again, your school can just email your final documents directly to the admissions office using an official email address. If it's not possible to get digitally certified documents, you can send us certified hard copies. But again, don't send us the originals and make sure that the copy you send is actually certified. If you do choose to send us certified hard copies, you might wonder how you know when they have actually been received by the UU. Firstly, make sure that you send these documents with a tracking code so that you know where they are. And keep in mind that it may take between 4 to 6 weeks to process your documents. Once they've been processed, you will receive an email, an unconditional admission email if you're a bachelor student, or a confirmation email from the admissions office that the documents are in if you're a master student. Again, the preference is for you to send certified digital documents, but in case you are sending certified hard copies, keep these points in mind. Then another condition you might need to fulfill is to send proof of your English proficiency. So if you didn't provide the results of your English language test at the time of your application, or in the case that these scores were insufficient, you now need to send your new official score report or certificate showing that you have sufficient scores. Again, the deadline by which you need to send this is always mentioned in your conditional offer. Depending on the English proficiency test you've taken, the proof you need to send is different. So for IELTS, you send a scan of your official report. For TOEFL IBT, the test taker score. And for the Cambridge C1 and C2, a scan of your certificate of statement of results, your candidate ID number, and secret number. And then finally, one of the other conditions you might need to fulfill is to complete a course or pass a test. This is based on the assessment of your previous education. If you have been asked to do this, the details on how you can fulfill this and the deadline by which to fulfill it is mentioned also in your letter of conditional acceptance. Then we move to the enrollment steps you need to take to get your SOLIS ID. So your SOLIS ID is essentially your student identifier, and it's your username for a lot of the websites and tools that you will use as a student. So to get your SOLIS ID, you need to accept your offer and meet all the conditions on time to get your unconditional offer. Keep in mind that for Dutch or English bachelor programs, you do need to have first participated in matching if you're registered at a Dutch municipality. And for fixes and selective programs, please also follow any instructions sent to you by the program. After this, you pay the tuition fee or submit the direct debit authorization, which we went through in the first slide. Again, if you didn't hear anything by the end of July, then please reach out to us. You will then receive a confirmation email from the Central Student Administration that the tuition fees have been arranged. After this point, your SOLIS ID will be prepared and assigned to you approximately 2 months prior to the start of your program. And when you are fully enrolled, so you've completed all the steps of your enrollment and you've received your SOLIS ID, this essentially means that you are ready to start your program. A question that some of you might have is, what if I need an official proof of enrollment? Students sometimes need this before they've started their program. You can download this document directly from Osiris Student. And you get access to the Osiris Student platform once you get your SOLIS ID. So some of you might have gotten this, some of you will get this soon. It's a pretty simple process. You go to personal details and to status of registration for degree program. And there you have an option to click on declaration of enrollment. This opens a PDF file, which you can then print or save. And then finally, another question for some of you that might not be sure yet whether you will study at the UU or perhaps at a later moment decide to no longer do this. It is, of course, possible to also terminate your enrollment. You can do this until the start of your study program, so until the 31st of August. If you do this before this deadline, then no tuition fee will be deducted if you chose the direct debit, or you will get a refund on the fees that you have paid. It is also possible to do it after the 1st of September, but in that case, you have to do it for the months that you have been enrolled. So if you're enrolled for the month of September, you essentially have to still pay the tuition fees of September, and then it will not be charged from October onwards if you cancel your enrollment by that point. So tuition fees are only paid for the active months that you are actually enrolled. So hopefully this is clear to you as well. And then we move to answering your questions. If you have questions, please put them in the chat so that we can use the remainder of our time to answer these questions. All right. I'm going to ask my colleague, Dennis, to join me on screen to answer your questions.
Hello, here I am, welcome. So if you have any questions, you can let me know. I see there was already one question that was asked a few times, and that's the question whether or not you will get the email with payment instructions if you're still conditionally admitted. That is indeed the case. Even if you're still conditionally admitted, you will get an email with the payment instructions, provided the Central Student Administration has verified your identity. That's something they will do in the upcoming weeks if they didn't do so yet. So yes, even if you're conditionally admitted, you will get the payment email. But even if you arrange the payment, but your admission is still conditional, you will not be fully enrolled yet. That will only happen once you are also unconditionally admitted. So by the moment your admission then changes to unconditionally, and that was the last condition, then you will be enrolled as well. So even if you still have stuff to do in let's say August, you can already start arranging the payment shortly.
All right. Let's see what other questions are in there. I see a question about when students should start registering for courses. I don't know if you want to take that.
Yeah, I can say something about that, about course registration. Course registration is something that the programs deal with. In some cases, for most bachelor programs, your program will automatically enroll you for the first semester courses. In other cases, for master students, when there are choices to actually that not everyone takes the same courses in the first semester, you will be invited by the faculty to enroll in your courses. So all course registration will be handled by the faculty, by your program. So if you have questions about that, you can contact them directly. That would be the fastest way.
Indeed, for master programs that also have a fixed schedule, you are also enrolled automatically.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. I also see a question from someone asking, I have applied for 2 programs in UU and I paid in Studielink. How can I specify for which program I paid? If you are sure in which program you want to enroll, it would be best to withdraw the other application, and then the tuition fees you paid will be automatically applied to the correct program. And if it's your intention to be enrolled in both programs at the same time, it's advisable to check with the study advisor first how feasible that is. But otherwise, just withdraw the program you are not going to be enrolled in. I also see a question. I've been unconditionally accepted by UU. I have my Solus ID. When can I access my ID card from the app? That will happen once your enrollment has been finalized. So that means your student card will only be available digitally once you have met all conditions for admission and once you have paid tuition fees too.
All right. Another question asked is where students can find the deadlines by which they need to submit different documents.
These deadlines are always mentioned in your conditional offer. Given the fact it's early July now, for most students who had a 15 June deadline, they should already have met that one. That's mainly for non-EU students, and EU students generally have till August 31st. But I would advise you to check carefully in your conditional offer letter what the deadline is that is mentioned there. Should you, for whatever reason, not be able to make that deadline, please contact us and we'll see on a case-by-case basis what can be done.
All right. I see some more questions about completing tuition fee payments for students with scholarships. So a student asks, I have a scholarship which covers my tuition fees. Who should they contact to arrange the payments?
If you have a scholarship that's paying for your tuition fees, we are going to need, I hope you already, if you're a non-EU student, you can upload that letter in your visa application, and then the payment will have to be done via the Central Student Administration. They can arrange the payment with the scholarship organization. If you are an EU student, you can wait for the payment email that will be sent to you shortly, and then ask the scholarship organization to transfer the money directly to UU. That's also an option. But it depends a little bit on your situation. So it would be wise, especially if you need a visa, to contact Visa urgently to discuss the best course of action.
All right. And then maybe another question. asking whether the deadline for paying the tuition fees is also the 1st of September for scholarship students.
That deadline actually applies to everyone. So you have to make sure the payment is arranged by September 1st. And like we explained in the presentation, for EU students, it does not mean that your fees have to, they will be collected at the end of September, but you must have, at least have arranged the authorization in StudyLink before September 1st.
All right. Then another question about paying the tuition fees in StudyLink. In case something goes wrong with deducting the payment, do students have a second chance, or is the enrollment automatically cancelled then?
No, if the payment deduction for whatever reason fails, you will first get a reminder, and then you will be given a few extra days to make the payment work. And only if you then do not reply to that first reminder, then there will be consequences like that, for example, your Solus ID will be blocked. But then we will still be in contact with you to find the best solution for the payment trouble. But it will definitely not happen that if the payment fails once, that your enrollment is cancelled immediately. There's always a second chance to make the payment work.
All right. I see some more questions about the digital authorization in StudyLink and when the tuition fees are paid. So maybe we can go back to the slide just to look at it again.
Yeah. So if you decide to pay in full, the tuition fees will be collected in the last part of September. They will be collected in full. So please take that into account and make sure there's enough money in that account that you have introduced in StudyLink. If you are paying in installments, it's going to be 5 installments, 5 equal installments, and the €24 administration fee will be added to the first installment. So the first installment will be €24 higher than the other ones. And if I remember it correctly, it's going to be September, November, January, March, and May, I believe. So there's 5 installments.
Great. Hopefully that makes it clear how this works. Then let's see what other questions we have. All right. A student asks what they can do if their diploma is not available before the 31st of August. Yeah, it's a document from their school certifying that they graduated and passed all their exams sufficient.
Yes, that happens quite often. Of course, you must have graduated before August 31st. So if you did graduate but just don't have your diploma yet, a statement or a letter from your school or university confirming that you have met all requirements for graduation but just don't have the diploma yet, together with the final transcript, will also do the trick. But we at least need some proof of graduation. Because, yeah, we know that sometimes diplomas are issued later. That should not be an issue.
All right. Then another question, I think, about scholarships. The student has the UChecked Excellence Scholarship. Do they still need to fill something in StudyLink?
No, if all is okay, all Utrecht Excellence Scholarship students received an email explaining that if your tuition fees are covered by the scholarship, there's nothing you should do. Your tuition fee payment will be arranged automatically.
All right, perfect. Another question then about uploading, the certified copy of diploma. Yeah, a student does not have the diploma yet. Once they get it and upload it, will they get a proof of enrollment?
That depends, because if you upload your final documents, of course, they must be certified. So you cannot upload regular scans. I mean, that won't change your conditional admission into unconditional. So those scans that you will upload of your final documents must be digitally certified with a QR code or with, like we said before, a secure system in which we can check the authenticity. If those documents are certified like that, and it was the last condition for admission, you will be unconditionally admitted. If you also paid your tuition fees already, or at least authorized us to collect your tuition fees from your bank account, then your enrollment will be finalized, and then you will indeed be able to download a proof of enrollment as well.
Great. I think these answers have been very useful. If there are more questions, please put them in the chat so we can use a few final minutes answering these questions. And otherwise, we will leave it at this, but I will just wait a little bit to see if there are more questions coming in.
I do see a question that's coming quite a few times now, that non-EU students ask about the payment email, but if all is okay, you received an invoice in May that you need to pay for your visa application, as we also explained. So for non-EU students, there's not a payment instruction email coming anymore because it's the invoice you already received.
Perfect. All right, I see another question again about course registration. So again,
I see it too. You will have to check with your faculty because not all faculties, not all programs have the same timeline when it comes to course enrollment. So I would advise you to check directly with the program. They contacted you when admitting you to that specific program. So in case of masters, so you have their contact details.
perfect. All right, then another question about proof of English proficiency. What can students do if they don't have their official results before the deadline, but they have passed the test?
If you know that you have passed the test, assuming it's TOEFL or IELTS, you also have the results, as in you can either download your TOEFL test taker report from ETS website, which we can verify online, or if you took IELTS, you should also get your results online from IELTS, which we can also verify online. So if you know your results, you should be able to download an unofficial score report, which we can verify online. The same goes for the Cambridge exams. So just send us your document to admissiondocuments@uu.nl, and then we will try to verify those scores.
Perfect. I see some more questions coming in about the visa application process. So how long does the IND typically take to reply?
That's very difficult to predict because they get a lot of applications, but I believe that officially they say between 2 and 6 weeks. If someone has more detailed information than that, feel free to add it to the chat, but 2 to 6 weeks. But they send the decision by letter, so we have to wait for that actual letter to arrive to our office. So it can take up to 6 weeks, but generally faster.
Perfect.
But then again, of course, once the approval is in, you still have to go to the embassy to collect your visa, if you need a visa, obviously, to get a visa sticker in your passport. So that's getting the approval is then not the final step.
Then maybe a different question, more practical. To access Osiris Student, are the username and password the same as the Solus ID?
Your Solus ID should also give you access to Osiris Student, but generally only when your enrollment is completed.
Yes.
Because now in the summer months, they're also setting up all the accounts for the upcoming academic year. So if something does not fully work yet, it will most likely work out during the summer.
Perfect. Maybe some final questions. I see one question indicating it's maybe not clear what a certified copy is. So a student asked, who needs to certify the copy of the diploma?
If you want to send a certified hard copy, as in by post, it has to be certified by either the issuing university or school or by a public notary. So you cannot have it certified by the municipality or by anyone else. And indeed, if, like we discussed, if your university has an official online verification system, we can also accept that. Or your university or school can email the documents directly to our office from a university email account. So not from Gmail, but from an official university or school email account with an extension linking that email address to that actual school or university. That's also fine.
All right, perfect. Just checking if there are any final questions. All right. A student asks that they have received the reminder from StudyLink to enter their payment details and already received their Solus ID, but have not received any other emails from the UU about the payment. Is something missing?
That's difficult to check right now. I would advise you to go back to StudyLink to see, because sometimes it happens that students do fill out the payment details in a StudyLink, but forget to confirm them. So you first need to fill them out and then you confirm the payment. If you have done both and still nothing happens, I advise you to email to studentservices@uu.nl, studentservices@uu.nl, so they can check what's going on. But it happens quite often that after filling out your IBAN, students forget to confirm that the information is correct, because if you don't do that, it doesn't continue either.
All right. Then another question about the direct debit payment. Is it possible for students to do that if they are under the age of 18?
If you have an IBAN bank account, it should indeed be possible. It is, although that's something I do have to add. If you want to open a Dutch bank account upon arrival and use that bank account to pay your tuition fees, it's going to be more complicated because you might not be able to open a Dutch bank account without the approval of your parents. But if you have a European Union a SEPA bank account already in your name or in your parents' name, you can also use that bank account to pay from abroad.
All right.
And I would also recommend, I see some very specific questions coming in, and I fully understand that people want to know that. But if you have very specific questions about your personal situation, you can always email us and we will try to get back to you as soon as possible.
Maybe a final question about the payment. If a student paid through bank transfer, do they need to do anything with StudyLink?
No. If all is okay, if you made a payment yourself and the Central Student Administration has been able to recognize that as your payment, they will just process it and it's all good. If someone else paid for you, for example, your parents, you will receive an email and then you will have to give permission that someone else paid the tuition fees on your behalf. Then you will receive an email like, hey, that person paid tuition fees for you. Can you please confirm that you indeed that this is indeed for you? So and then you don't have to fill out the payment authorization in StudyLink anymore because you already paid.
Perfect. Maybe a final question then for students that are sending the certified digital documents via email. Which email address should they send it to?
The email address for sending certified hard copies would be, for universities to send not the hard copies, but to send the certified documents would be admissiondocuments@uu.nl. Admission documents, so documents plural, and then @uu.nl.
All right. Thank you so much, Dennis. I see some questions coming in about receiving your Solus ID while you are still conditionally accepted. It is possible that you receive your Solus ID while you're still conditionally accepted. These processes can happen at the same time sometimes. So always make sure that you complete all the steps for your enrollment. So you should be fully enrolled and have your Solus ID before you start your program. Thank you, Dennis, for helping with the Q&A, and thank you
You're
also
welcome.
to all the chat moderators that helped answer the questions. Thank you, of course, to all of you for joining this session. I hope that you found it useful, and stay tuned for any upcoming sessions